Hey guys, this is Javier again with The Real Javier Novoa, a channel, a platform, and a modality where we apply the principles and tools of interiorism to living free. And I love it when I get comments and questions on the videos. We got a lot of comments and questions on the recent videos we've done over the last few months. I believe the last one was probably about 5-6 days ago on robotic affirming. And robotic affirming is a huge tool in our overall toolkit. But never, of course, confuse a tool for the ultimate aim, because there are different tools for different aims. I believe that robotic affirming is a specific tool that's going to be suited to a lot of different personality types, of course, with the aim of, and guys, this is the only aim, the aim of getting into state. And what do we mean by getting into state? It means embodying completely in your heart, your mind, your body, your soul, embodying what it is that you want to become, so that you're no longer desiring to become it, but you are it. I was reading again, I often love to review the great books, and I was reviewing the book by Neville Goddard. Well, it's a compilation of lectures called How to Manifest Your Desires. And he was giving the esoteric commentary, he was giving the interior meaning of this biblical story. And if I'm not wrong, I know it was in one of the four Gospels. I don't remember if it was in Mark, but it was the story of the person who was a paralytic. And he would go by this pool. And the legend had it that an angel would go a certain day of the year and disturb the waters of this pool. But then the first person to get in that pool would be healed, and this paralytic could never get to the pool. So when he saw Jesus, he said, "Will you take me to the pool?" And Jesus said, "No, be healed now. Get up, take your bed, and walk home." Something to this effect. And Neville Goddard was then giving the esoteric interpretation of this. Well, the pool is your consciousness, your mind. And then the angel is your desire, because angel's a messenger, or it's a message, it's something coming to you, and that angel will go and disturb your mind. Now, who's the first person? Well, as Neville said, the only person who I can refer to as the first person is I, me. That is the first person, grammatically. And that's the first person into this pool of your mind. So, when the mind is disturbed by the desire, the first person, which is you, who goes into that pool, then becomes whole, becomes healed. And that is a great metaphysical and spiritual analogy to what we're talking about, the act of getting into state. And robotic affirming is one of those. Now, one of the questions we got on these videos, and I love this question because part of my desire in this channel is to help people who are perhaps in exigent circumstances. They're in circumstances where they would normally need help. My job is to teach you who you are, help you to apply some of these tools so that then you're free. That's really is what living free is all about. And a person commented a question, said, "Javier, how can I utilize robotic affirming if I'm in a very desperate situation? I've lost a job and I cannot find a job." We've made videos about this in the past, but I want to make a video like we've never made before about using these modalities for something as desperate as finding a job. Now, the questioner said, or was left to imply, I didn't find the comment again. I'm not sure if the person took the question down or if it was in another video. But from what I remember from the question, the commenter was saying that they have been without a job for quite some time. So first of all, I don't know how extreme or drastic the situation is. For many of us, especially in the United States, guys, remember the average American doesn't have $400 that he or she could produce for an emergency. At least those were statistics that I read a few years ago. So losing a job could mean a very desperate situation indeed within the next few days or weeks. This person said that they were out without a job for a while, so I don't know how desperate the situation is, but there's a protocol for this, guys. Because, let's face it, the tools of this modality, robotic, affirming, and other things, even imagining, they work best when there's a bit of detachment from the outcome. Because if you're in anxiety, if you're in worry, if you're in desperation, of course you can still create, you can still manifest. That is who you are. No one's going to tell you that, oh, you cannot get into state if you're in this circumstance. But it's a lot harder, guys, because while your mind is trying to focus on that state, while even you're trying to robotically affirm, of course, the benefit of robotic affirming is that there's no obligation for a belief. But the more you try to affirm and the more anxious you are, that anxiety is going to take your concentration away. So what we teach in these circumstances is this. First of all, do everything that you can in the current film role to alleviate that anxiety. And I know this may seem contradictory to our past advice, but you do what you can. And of course, you do what you can do now. And if you can't do something now, then you defer that to a time that you can do it. So for this person without a job, I ask you, are you at your last dollar or do you have some support? Let's assume that the person is in a moderately desperate situation. Let's assume that the person's going to run out of money within 2 weeks, because that will help the whole spectrum of people that we're talking about here, right? Because if you only have enough money for 2 weeks, then it's going to be much better if you have enough money, say, to live for 6 months. I'm not sure about the individual circumstance, but let's say you lost your job and you only have enough money for the next few weeks. You're nervous, you're worried, you're sad, you're upset. What's the first thing I would do? Well, the first thing I would do is try to feel a little bit better. Now, this is easier said than done. And that's why I think the best protocol for these circumstances is the Wim Hof breathing protocol. And if you did not see our interview with Hitaro, who was a Wim Hof breathing instructor, I'd recommend you go back and watch that interview. But it's basically 30 deep breaths in, and you do this for 30 deep breaths in. Then the last breath, you breathe in and you breathe out, and then you hold that breath as long as you can. Then you do another deep breath in, and you hold that for about 16 seconds, then you do this for 4 times, or however much time it takes for you to reach a state of stasis. And I promise you, no matter what circumstance you're in, guys, if you do about 8 or 10 of these routines of breathing, you're going to feel high, you're going to feel good, you're going to feel relaxed. Now, when you feel relaxed, here's what you have to do. You've got 2 weeks, right? You start journaling. You start doing what I call, basically this is a protocol taken from Vadim Zell and reality transurfing. Remember, just very briefly, we're all on a certain film roll, and the focus that we give to this film roll is what keeps us on this film roll, whether that focus is positive or negative. So if you're very worried about something, guys, it's going to be very hard for you to get off one film roll and onto another film roll. There are infinite film rolls, and you can focus on any film roll in the universe that you want. And a film roll, for those who don't know, is a chain of cause and effect. It's basically a trajectory of what you're going through. So if you're a billionaire, you're on a film roll of being a billionaire. If you're broke, you're on a film roll of being broke. Let's say you want to be a billionaire. Well, theoretically, all you have to do is focus on the film roll of the billionaire. It's a way to explain it. But if being broke is occupying your attention, it's going to be harder to focus on that billionaire film roll. That's why a lot of coaches teach gradualism. Don't focus first on the billionaire film roll. Focus on the film roll right above that. But I hope you understand me just a little bit. I hope you're staying with me. I'm trying not to make it too complicated. You're on a certain film roll. So the first thing you have to do is you have to smooth out the film roll you're on. Why? Because first of all, Here's the deal about this. First of all, we know that the anxiety of what's facing you on the current film roll, again, is going to make it hard for you. Not impossible, but it's going to make it harder for you to focus on the film roll and what you want to focus on, which is, of course, what the robotic affirming is going to help you do in a massively powerful way. Before you do that, smooth out the film roll you're on. Also, a little piece of advice that the Jeff Bezos, the former CEO of Amazon, talks about in one of his talks. The discomfort and anxiety produced by not doing what you know you can do will make you more anxious until you do that. So, if there's something on this film roll that you know that you have to do or you need to do, but you're not doing it, you're resisting it, that's going to keep you on that film roll because it's going to generate negative emotions. So what I want you to do when you're in a state of calm, and guys, even if for some reason you can't get to a state of total calm, let's say there's been times in my life, for example, years ago when I got a scary diagnosis, I used all of the techniques I knew. I could not really calm myself down. That's fine too. You just focus. And in this job loss situation, what you do, you try to get yourself calm, but if you can't, that's fine. You still focus. You open up a Word document or you get a notebook with a pen and you start journaling. What are the circumstances that are facing me and what's the worst case outcome? Well, let's say you're at rock bottom. I have 2 more weeks. I can't even pay my rent. Well, the first outcome is I could be, homeless. Then, this is ironic. You prepare yourself to accept that outcome. You say, okay, I'm already homeless, and in a lot of places that's like being dead, and if I die, then I know that I just start again. I rise into pure positive energy, so that's not something I need to worry about, actually, so let's just resign ourselves to that. Now, this is from How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. You now improve upon what you can from the worst case scenario. I talked about this in another video. Well, I know I'm living in an apartment now where I won't be able to afford, but there's got to be some website that I can go to find a room in a house or a bunch of roommates. Hey, living with 5 roommates is a lot better than being homeless. And you do your homework and your research on that. You say, you know what? I found this place. It might be a bad place. It might be dirty. There might be a lot of people, but it's a hell of a lot better than living in the streets and perhaps running the risks of that. So what I can do is I can go ahead, not necessarily taking any action on it, but I can go ahead and have that in my notebook for if I need it, and I can go and sort of apply for that or send the email or whatnot. There are a lot of websites for this. You just look it up. Then that's sort of smoothed out. Then what do? You go back into presence, back into silence. You say, thank you, Father. I've figured out a little piece of this. Now, let's say I can't find any job, but let's say I can just find a small menial job, a part-time job. There are always restaurants hiring, and as horrible as that is, at least I'll have some income coming in to pay this very cheap rent and also to pay for food. You say, okay, Subway's hiring, and that's going to be embarrassing because it's going to be a bunch of steps back, but I can actually go and apply for that job, and at least now you're not worried about being homeless. So you've got that plan, right? You've got that backup plan. Now, what do? There's really nothing more you can do because let's say it's nighttime. I've done the smoothing out that I need to do. So now I can just totally withdraw my mind from that and see if you can. And you test that by becoming completely present. You say, okay, well, I'm sitting here. There's a room here. And all that's in my notebook so I can look at that again tomorrow. I don't have to think about it all tonight. So what can I do? Well, I've got some food and I've got a drink. I can go and actually have a nice dinner and a nice drink. So you go do that. And then you get into presence again. Now, you're actually feeling pretty good. I haven't felt this good in a long time, you tell yourself. Now's the time to start making that robotic affirmation. And now you get to play with this because before you were saying, how can I do a robotic affirmation to find a job? Well, You've smoothed out that worst case scenario. And tomorrow you can do this again, and you can even go higher. You can say, well, there might be an even better job that I can get. Let's look that up, because I have this rock bottom thing where I'm going to live with a bunch of roommates and have a bad job. Is there a step up from that? Well, there might be a job that pays higher. You might remember someone who you can call, maybe a contact, and we'll do that tomorrow. But for now, you're not trying to make a robotic affirmation to find a job, because you can handle that. And remember, we talk about this in this channel a lot. Goals are things that you just do because you know you can do them. For example, a goal would be, I want to make 2% more money next year. It's doable, it's achievable, and you know the steps. Or I want to find a job. You know the steps to find a job. Perhaps you were worried and anxious, but now you have a little key. You don't need to try to find the exact job you're looking for yet, because that'll come. What you need to do is find any job you can get, and ironically, that's going to smooth out the film roll. So that's a goal. You can write it down. You can deal with it tomorrow. The robotic affirming is not for a goal. The robotic affirming is for something that you have no idea how you're going to achieve it. That's where the spiritual comes in. That's where now we can play with the spiritual. Now play with it. What would it look like if the next year is the best year of my life? How much money am I actually making without working? I don't need a job. I don't even work. I live as a lord or lady. Or am I working in a field that I love? Let's just say that you want to work in a field that you love, and you have to choose the field. You have to think about it. You can do all that other stuff tomorrow. You can go and apply for the menial job at Subway. You can do it. It doesn't matter. Because with this robotic affirming, that's going to be a very temporary state. You might not even have to do it. But now your mind is free to make the robotic affirmation. Let's say you found a job. This could take a few days. But let's say you found the job that you really love. Let's say I have a job where I'm making 3 times as much. Let's say you want to make $100,000 a year. I don't know, building skateboards. I'm making a random job up here. But let's say you have no idea how you're going to do that. Well, you've already done everything that you can do. And this is an important element, guys. You need to deal with everything on this film roll that you feel you can deal with and you feel that you need to deal with. So I know what job I'm going to apply to tomorrow. I've got this apartment with a bunch of roommates that I can deal with tomorrow. But right now, I'm going to go on that other film roll because now my energy's free. So I am now building skateboards, making $100,000 a year. And you can now say that affirmation. Of course, you have to craft your own. You can even chant it like we talked about in the other videos. I'm now making skateboards for $100,000 a year. I'm now making skateboards, making $100,000 a year. I'm now making skateboards and making $100,000 a year. I'm now making skateboards and I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm now making skateboards and I'm making $100,000 a year. You sit and do that for 30 minutes. If you're really extreme, sit and do that for an hour, and I promise you, not only is that coming to you, that's a byproduct, but you're going to feel in that state now. And just from the chanting, guys, and just from the words like a mantra anchoring themselves in your brain, you're going to feel intoxicated. You're going to feel drunk. And you're going to feel better than you felt in a long time, especially if you've been worrying about something. I promise you, this process, if you follow it, within days to weeks, you're going to find your situation on the outer drastically changed. But even if it's not going to matter, because you're going to have more time doing this robotic affirmation. You're going to feel the thrill of living within, guys. Because remember, interiorism is about not even caring what happens on the outer, because everything is within. And this has been proven by countless philosophers, by countless scientists, by countless mystics. What happens on the inner, is the outer. And it has to show itself to you. Why? Because when you change in one dimension, which is the film roll that you're imagining, you must change on all dimensions, because you are in all dimensions. Hear this and understand it. So you must see it in this dimension But you cannot be doing it to see it in this dimension. Why? Because then you're hoping to get there. And then you're in the state of hoping to get there, but never quite getting there. I hope you understand me just a little bit. So, very simple. Get as calm as you can. Use the Wim Hof breathing method. Get present. Number 2, do whatever you can right now at this moment to smooth out the film roll a little bit. Even if it's just giving yourself hope. Then you use the great weapon of your mind and robotic affirming. You create a robotic affirmation not to try to get out of trouble, but to live the life that you want to live. And I promise you guys, everything else on the outer is going to correct itself easily and effortlessly. So I hope that helped a little bit. Let's just right now enjoy the power of now. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care how worried or anxious you've been. Come with me now, into now. This is the true power right here. This is the true key to everything. Everything starts here. Why? Because you are the I am consciousness. So just look around. Feel your breathing. And if any thought comes, just see that and just let it pass, and then focus immediately upon what's around you right now. You're already feeling a calm. You're already feeling high. Feel your entire body. Imagine as if all of the cells of your body were just open, flowering, and you are that. And remember this key from Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Everything that happens to you or could happen to you must happen now. Nothing can happen to you tomorrow, because if you're experiencing it, then it is now. So what have you to worry about? As the great Zen teacher said, what is lacking now? Yeah, I know you're feeling anxious. I know tomorrow something could happen. You won't have a job. Maybe. But what's lacking right this second? And the answer will always be, nothing is lacking now. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming with me into this state of presence. Thanks for watching the video. Guys, thanks for liking and sharing the videos. If you find value in what we do on The Real Javier Novoa, I'd ask you please subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos, comment on the videos. Not only will you be putting your energetic lot, so to speak, in with a group of master manifestors, you'll be helping me get the word out. You'll be helping build this community. Remember, we release weekly videos and interviews and just interesting programming on interiorism and living free. Remember, I am doing coaching calls. I can help you. I can take you step by step down this path to living a freer life through applying the principles of interiorism and just good business sense. So I will put my email in the description for those who want to do business with me. Thank you so much, guys. And until very soon, this is Javier with The Real Javier Novoa bidding you a wonderful weekend. See you soon.